One of the core principles of intent-based leadership is leaders make it safe, not add stress. And that might make us assume this is all about psychological safety. I think in the first instance, the key thing, it's about leaders making it safe for people to make decisions. So I can make decisions knowing that because I'm using intent and I'm sharing my intent, that I will have the support, my boss will have my back if this decision proves not to be the right one, or we could have done something better. So leaders make it safe for people to make decisions. But it also hints at that broader question of psychological safety. And this is where I think we need to be clear. Look, there's a range that we're talking about. There's a big difference in terms of psychological safety when it relates to somebody who genuinely fears, if I say something wrong, am I going to be out of a job here? Or is there going to be some sort of consequence that I'm going to do my best to avoid? But that's different to a situation where somebody who maybe isn't used to speaking up or sees their line manager as being somebody with years more experience. That doesn't necessarily mean people don't feel psychologically safe. What that's about is, do I have the confidence? Am I used to? Is it a normal for me to be speaking up and contributing and offering my perspective? Now, the reason that this is important is that if you're a leader and you're told your team don't feel psychologically safe, that can have a major impact. And actually, it can create more division, can have the opposite effect. What is it that I'm doing that's making people feel unsafe? Well, in reality, what might be happening is it's things that the leader is not doing. And the consequence of that is people don't feel confident to speak up. That's a big difference between feeling confident to speak up or not feeling safe to speak up because there's some sort of negative consequence. So I think we need to be very clear about that difference. When is the time that somebody genuinely worries about, if I speak up and I say something wrong, am I going to be in trouble? Versus, am I ready to speak up? Am I used to speaking up? And what can my leader do to make it easier for me to contribute? I think one of the challenges, even with that phrase, psychological safety, is it brings in an element of defensiveness and negativeness. If we turned it around and thought about what are we really saying here, what we're really saying is we want to create an environment where people have the confidence to be able to speak up and contribute. They're used to being invited to give their perspective. They're used to making decisions. They're used to sharing learning when something has gone wrong. So let's turn this around. Psychological safety, I think, is potentially gets us into a negative frame of mind in terms of protecting things and avoiding things. Psychological confidence, on the other hand, is much more about growth and learning and readiness to move forward and to be part of a team.